was meted out on you. You indicated that there was an instance. The first one was when a plastic bag was put over your head, Piccadilly plastic bag.
Correct.
And your head is being shoved in and out of a bucket containing liquid of a mixture of acid. Well, it was acidic, but contained gasoline, water, and other liquids.
Correct.
The second instance is when you were taken to the beach and your head was being dipped in and out of the sea until you completely blacked out. And the third is...
Point of correction, please. The beach is not only the head, but the complete body was immersed in water.
Your complete body was immersed in water.
Correct.
You were being dipped in and out until you passed out.
Correct.
Thank you for that correction, Mr. Sabally. You also indicate that you were buried alive almost on 3 different occasions.
Correct.
You also said that in some of the tortures, Manlafikor wielded a hammer, and that hammer was used all over your body.
Correct.
And you indicated that you've been tortured over 20 times, and
Correct.
during those periods, Elijah Martin called Lagos was the head of the torturers,
Correct.
or was the head of the torture team. You also indicated members of the torture team. You also indicated a fourth type of torture, which is when you are being forced to eat. Yes.
Correct.
So now let's proceed. Have you ever, well, what other means of torture were also used against you?
Can I say something quickly?
Please go ahead.
These tortures intensify in the first 2 months of my arrest, before the visit of the ICRC, the International Committee of the Red Cross.
That's right. So we want to have the full spectrum of the various types of torture that were meted on you. We also want to know their effect on you and other people, their impact and all that. So proceed now with your testimony regarding the other types of torture that was meted out on you.
Another time they came with a long bag. It's called this Sankilo bag, this long one. This groundnut bag, I will call it for all of us to understand the type of bag I'm referring to. And then when they came, they tied my legs, tied my hands, and then they put me inside this bag. And then I was hung up in the air on the ceiling, and then this bag was swinging left and right, front and back. And I was head down.
How did it feel?
It's like I was a ping pong ball. When they shoved me to the left, Malafi shoved me back. Like Martin shoved me through back to Malafi, and it was like that, going and coming, going and coming.
How did it feel to you?
Dizzy, completely. My blood completely came on my head, and I swooned at one point.
You passed out?
Completely.
And throughout this period, what was their objective?
I believe they wanted to break my spirit completely. One, in that I would lie, because they had always come with a tape recorder. And later I come to understand they had always recorded these incidents and they had shown it to Jame.
Recorded how? Video?
Video again, but that one I cannot confirm. But the tape recorder was always there.
So apart from being hung up the ceiling, with your head down in a groundnut bag or sack, so to say, what else did they do to you? Can you tell us about the short shackles?
Okay. These were some of the moments when they would come with an electric machine, and they had electrocuted me. They would apply one of the electrodes on my neck, on my tongue, and then the other on my penis. And they would be adding the voltage slowly, voltage high and voltage down. And these all were accompanied with beatings. And yeah.
They electrocuted you?
Genau.
On your penis and on
my
your
penis
tongue?
and my tongue.
Who did that?
Alaji Martin and Lamin Senghor.
Where did this happen?
This happened in Mile 2 for the first time. Then the second time, they took me to the NIA headquarters.
And at the NIA headquarters, who did it?
This I cannot tell exactly where, but there was one name I heard clearly was Dabo, but I don't know his first name, but they used to call him Dabo. Yeah.
On this particular occasion, was Alaji Martin there?
Yeah, he had always come for me. For tortures, he was always there. He was never absent.
Lamin Senghor?
Lamin Senghor was always there.
PM Sar?
PM Sar, as I said, he had never touched me physically, but he was always standing by.
Manlafi?
Manlafi, yeah. He was also there.
Ndur?
Ndur also was there. These are TSG personnel.
Bach Sambaba?
Bach hardly comes every day. His comments were not oft.
Babukar Bob?
Babukar Bob also was not always.
So, you said this electrocution was done together with beatings.
Exactly.
Can you describe the beatings? What would they use against you?
As I said, Malafi had always come with this Warrington claw hammer. And for him, this was the weapon he had always used on me. And that's why I lost my disc tooth on the left-hand side here.
And apart from this electrocution, did they use another method of torture on you?
Right. This was another time when they came. As I said, I was always naked completely, like a needle. And they took me out first. Then they brought Sadibu. He was in the prisons and in confinement number 5. And there in the corridor, they let us down first. And then they took a pin, long pin. This was iron, and then they drove it right inside my penis. And then the same thing was done to Sadibu, right in my presence. And whilst they made the same thing to me, he was standing watching. And the other day they came, for the first time in my life, I come to know what a G-string is. They brought 2, they asked me to wear it by force. And then they did the same thing to Sadibu. They said we should pose as prostitutes, so to say, in their term. And along the line, they said, I should, with Sadibu Hydra, we should make homosexual actions, meaning I should have sex with Sadibu Hydra. And I refused, or we refused. Yeah, they beat us to death, so to say.
Who did that?
Alaji Martin, Lamin Senghor, Ndur, Malafikor, on this particular occasion.
When you said they beat us to death, what do you mean?
As always, Malafi had his claw Warrington hammer, and then they used the butt of the AK-47 to bust us.
Do you know what was it that was used to be inserted in your penis?
I think it would be the small iron in a bicycle. It looked like that, not exactly. In a bicycle.
The spook?
Genau, the spokes of a bicycle, but it is not that exactly, but it looks like that.
How did it feel?
Terribly painful, and that's why they ruptured my bladder.
How did these people react when you were agonizing, when you were in pain? How did they react?
Unless I go black out, they never stop. Or when Malafikor had played the good cop, then they limit it and then start again. Because then they would ask if I have to talk. When I don't, then it continues again.
Who asks the questions?
It is always Alaji Martin who directs the questions to be asked. And Lamin Senghor was always asking. And Malafikor was the good cop.
Apart from this type of torture, what other method did they use on you?
I want to come to but I would want here to mention I had two ladies with me in the residence. These two ladies, when I got arrested, they were picked up, but not at mile 2. They were taken to NIA headquarters for 2 months. It was when I discharged from the prisons, they got to tell me all the ordeals they underwent at the NIA headquarters. These two ladies were very close to me. They were taken to the NIA headquarters. According to them, they were stripped completely naked, and at the NIA headquarters, bananas were used, sticks were used as dildos, right into their womanhoods. I'm sorry for the language. And they were being told, you will never have a man inside you anymore because we will destroy your womanhood. And this continued for 2 good months before they were eventually released. I learned from them the person they could identify was one Baba Drame.
Did they say anything about the questions they were asked at NIA?
They were asked if I had told them anything of my plans or would-be plans to get rid of Yaya. And they were asked also to confirm what statements they were going to say in the event they were brought before me. And once that was done, while they tortured them, I was brought in and I stood and I watched how they were being tortured.
You mean that you were taken from mile 2?
Exactly.
Brought to NIA?
Exactly.
And made you watch?
Exactly.
While these two women who were close to you were being tortured?
Tortured, exactly.
Who did that?
The NIA headquarters personnel, I don't know them exactly. But as I said, one person I could remember was called Dabo, but I don't know him in person. But this name I kept in my brain since then.
And what kind of torture did you see?
At this particular time, on this day, as I said, they had used bananas and dildos inside their womanhoods.
And who was administering this gruesome process?
This was this Dabo I'm talking about.
As this was being done, were you being asked questions?
Nay, at this particular point, nay, they didn't ask me questions, but later they moved me into another room where they asked me to sign the statement that I wanted to kill Jame. If not, they will bring these ladies and they will kill them in my presence.
Did you sign?
I didn't sign anything.
You still refuse?
I still refuse, yeah, correct.
They still can't break you?
Nay.
How about Haidara?
Haidara was also the same thing. But on this particular day at the headquarters, at my headquarters, Haidara was not there.
Can you give us a description of this Dabo?
He's a tall guy, tall, slanky somebody. If I could remember, the intonation is either from Gunjur, Sukuta, or Sanyang. This is the Mandinka dialect there.
Thank you very much for that. But apart from this Dabo, you could not recall anybody?
Any other person.
Do you recall who escorted you from Mile 2 to NIA on this occasion?
Alaji Martin's team always had come for me if I have to leave Mile 2 for tortures.
Could you kindly remove your hands from your mouth so we can hear you clearly? I know this is very difficult. We crave your indulgence. It is important that we bring things out so that the Gambian people would know some of the things that Gambians have done on other Gambians. It is absolutely important. I am terribly sorry. So, on this occasion, was it just Alaji Martin or was it the entire team?
Alaji Martin was there, Malafikor was there, Lance Corporal Senghor and Ndur was there.
And these women were kept at NIA for 2 months,
2 months, according to their information they gave me.
But you confirm seeing them at the NIA when this process of torture was being meted out on them?
Exactly.
How did it feel seeing these 2 women close to you being treated in such a barbaric manner?
Horrific. Yeah. Perhaps if they were military personnel, I could understand.
Military personnel do not deserve to be tortured.
No, what I mean is probably is that they could have undergone a training where they could resist some of these things, I mean.
Nobody deserves to be tortured.
Okay.
Nobody. Apart from this method of torture, what other method did they use on you?
Another time they brought in this, I don't know where they got it, but if one is from the villages, if you had a sweater on, mostly you walk into the bush, these closed footpaths, the seeds come attached to you. It has
thorns.
Thorns, exactly, correct. Thank you for the word. And these were spread on the wall, sorry, on the floor, and this was in the NIA headquarters. And then we were naked, me and Sadibu. They dragged us on these thorns, edges.
And what happened when your body came into contact with these thorns?
Lacerations. We sustained lacerations. And they poured cool water, ice water on us.
For how long did this happen?
As long as I can remember. We were there in the morning, and when we came, I found my lunch in the cells. So this could be around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock.
Were you conscious throughout, or you
when they brought
out?
me back this summer, I was conscious.
And who participated in this incident?
This is Alaji Martin, Lance Corporal Senghor, Ndur, and Malafikor. As I said, private PM Sar had never laid hands on me.
How would you describe these people, Elijah Martin, Lance Corporal Senghor, Andur, and Bob? How would you describe them?
Well, they are torturers, that's all.
Your word is they are what?
They are torturers.
Torturers, that's what you said. What do you say to the suggestion that you were never tortured? They just asked you questions. What do you say to that?
That is totally false. That is totally false.
Do you know what is called waterboarding?
Right.
Have you ever experienced it?
Yeah. I think I'd prefer if you would only read it, please.
It's all right. I would skip it. But can you confirm to us that you experienced it?
Yeah, many times.
Who did it to you?
Elijah Martin and his team, Malavikor, Lance Corporal Senghor, and Ndur.
If you don't mind, I can read out an excerpt from your statement.
Please.
If only if you don't mind.
I agree.
You had this to say, and I quote, "On this session, we were told it's a washing day, an order from the president. Quote, take them to their washing, unquote. As if we were circumcised, initiated children to take their first bath after 1 month in the bush or woods. This was around 3 to 5 a.m., I calculated, or knew from the early morning birds singing. We were taken to the sea just across the highway, directly in front of the prisons.
Correct.
We were in our usual torture sessions uniform, in brackets, but they shoot, that is stark naked. And costume jewelry, that is shackles and handcuffs. The air was very cold and windy. The seawater was near freezing point. By the baser intelligence interrogation methods called waterboarding, they strapped us down and pushing us under the water until we were made to believe one might drown. We had been in this way on and on, held underwater until we had in fact begun to drown and lost consciousness, only to be revived by our torturers and submerged again. It was one of our worst memories and experiences." That's what you said.
Correct, 100% correct.
Who did this to you?
It's Elijah Martin, Malavikor, Ndur, and Lance Corporal Senghor.
You were also subjected to the water pit treatment. In your statement, you said as follows: there was the water pit, in which most communal cell blocks in the jail, that is housing the criminal convicts, empty their waste matter. Also thrown into this pit was every type of conceivable dirt. We are made to stand on tiptoe to avoid drowning. Who did this to you?
This is Elijah Martin, Lance Corporal Senghor, Malavikor, Ndur.
Other sessions, we were left gagged with our hands tied on the top of our cell door after being questioned by the NIA and the close bodyguards or soldiers to the president. Who are you referring to? Which bodyguards or soldiers to the president?
This was the time Khalifa Bajinka took part in this session with Musa Jammeh, plus Elijah Martin and his team.
You went on to say that At one location, you were blindfolded and hooded and kept in scorching hot shipping containers.
Right.
We went through that.
Okay.
You also described that on one occasion you were chained for a week.
Exactly. There I would explain, in the cell in confinement number 1, cell number 4, both ends of the room, this room is 2.25 meters long, 2.5 meters, the width and length is almost the same, maybe the height would be 3 meters. And as I said, on the head side is a raised bankment, and at the foot end also is the same thing, maybe 50 centimeters high. And this is where normally the plank of wood as a bed is laid upon. But there they dug in the wall, and then they put an iron bar there, and on the foot side also they put the same iron bar, and the plank of wood was removed, and I was tied in my handcuff. On the in the head side I was chained, and then in the left side, on the feet side I was chained, and I was hanging there, and this was the time I was left there for that long.
No wooden plank under your body?
Nah.
You are forced to suspend pretty
Exactly.
much. How did it feel?
Yeah, my tendons were all completely, yeah.
Up to now, you would not talk?
Nay, I never gave in. Up to the day I left prison, I never gave in.
Another time, tell us about the efforts to insert certain things in your body. Would you be willing to talk about that?
Yeah.
Tell us.
This was also another day. They put an iron inside my anus, and I was hanging by my hands on the ceiling, but barely my feet touches the ground. And since my weight, whole body weight was on my wrist, if I tried to move, it was like I would be impaled by the iron inside my anus.
Who did that to you?
Alaji Martin, Lance Kapur Senghor, Malafi Kor, Andur.
What do you mean by impaled? I know the word, I know the meaning.
Yeah, this was like if I bring my weight down on my feet, it picks me right inside my anus. So I am forced to stay exactly where I am on my wrist at the ceiling like this.
And being impaled means that the stick or the metal rod would pierce through your body and come out from your head.
Is what
if you were to fall down directly into onto that rod.
Exactly.
How about castration? Do you hear anything about that? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah. This was a repetition of what they asked us to do. That means I have to have sex with Sadibu Hydra and Sadibu with me. And since we refused, they said, okay, then we will castrate you, since you don't want to have sex together with each other. And this was the time they started with Hydra. They forced him down on the ground. They put an iron bar under his testicles. And Maleficor took the claw pen working hammer. And then they force bit the muscles on the testicles, or inside the testicles. And I am not a doctor at the time. I am not a medical personnel at the time. But if we were today, I would definitely say the cause of Sadibu's death was from that. Because thereafter, he bled up to the day he died. Nostrils, ears, anus, penis, everything was blood.
Who did that to him?
This is Alaji Martin, Lance Kapul, Senghor, Malafikor, and Dur.
Your testimony is that Sadibu died from this torture.
I would say that.
Who killed him?
This would be from these tortures, Malafikor, Lance Kapul, Senghor, Alaji Martin, and Dur.
Your testimony is that Sadibu Haidara was murdered by Manlafikor, Alaji Martin, alias Lagos, Lamin Senghor.
Correct.
I have here a copy of the investigative report that was done by the NIA.
Okay.
It is part of the documents we received from the NIA. And it says, the caption is investigation report. I am passing a photocopy to the chairman, and I'll be reading from the original. It says investigation report on the sudden death of Captain Sadibu Haidara.
Okay.
Would you agree to that headline?
No, totally not.
And it went on to say as follows. On Saturday, 3rd June 1995, Captain Sadibu Haidara, a former Minister of the Interior and member of the AFPRC, who on Friday, 27th January 1995 was detained at Mile 2 prisons along with 26 others for their alleged attempt on the life of AFPRC chairman and head of state, Captain Yahya AJJ Jammeh, in an attempt to seize power, died in his cell in the remand wing at Mile 2. The aim of the report is to highlight the outcome of the investigations into the sudden death of Sadibu Haidara. And the case history suggests that the late ex-captain Sadibu Haidara met his death on Saturday, 3rd June 1995, while in his cell at the remand wing due to an illness. And it says, according to the investigations, the late Sadibu, for the past years, had been complaining of hypertension. During his dissension too, he complained of fever and revealed he was a hypertension patient. Is that true?
I have many points of correction on this information. One, Sadibu never complained of any high blood issues. Two, he didn't die at the remand wing in the State Central Prison. He died in security wing number 1 in cell number 9, exactly at 1600 hours 17, in my hands.
Let me read out the findings of the report.
And he died on the 6th, not on the 3rd.
Thank you very much for that. How come you still recall this date?
This date, I will never forget it in my life. Yeah.
The findings of the report. It says as follows. A thorough investigation was made to find out about Sadibu Haidara's death. There is no evidence of foul play being detected, and during the post-mortem, he was found to be well-built, well-nourished, and no external signs of injury was detected too. He was just found to have had edema, hypertension, and multiple liver problems. The results of the post-mortem exercise has specified the cause of death. Conclusion: Sadibu Haidara is therefore deemed to have died on a natural death while in detention at remand wing in Mile 2. Signed by investigative officers J.B. Mendy and Fodebari. Is this report true?
It's totally false. It's a fabrication. For me, if the doctor who made the post-mortem wrote this information to these two officers, his license to operate as a medical personnel should have been revoked immediately.
It's a cover-up.
Exactly. Sadibu died in my hands 1600 hours 17 on the 6th of June.
Or the 3rd, which one?
It's not on the 3rd, it's on the 6th. We prayed 2 o'clock prayers. We were waiting for 5 o'clock prayers. I and LF Jame were playing Scrabble, and Sadibu went back into his cell and laid down. And then he called me. I came, and he was lying down on his back, and he said, "Help me, I'm seeing my grandmother." I said to him, "Yeah, you are seeing your grandmother, but you are in Mile 2 here. Do not worry, we'll go out of this place alive." And all of a sudden, I saw the eyes were changing, and I knew he was nearing his death. But still I kept with him. And then he asked me, "What do you do with people who didn't understand where you stand for them?" Meaning the council members who betrayed us. And he told me there's a verse in the Holy Quran which deals with forgiveness. Let us forgive them. And then he asked me to read Suratul Yasin for him, and we did. I did rather. And then I called Babu Kanjai, I called Ablai Bojang, he was a prison officer, who was the sergeant who was in charge of us. Then I called the two, and then they came. I told them, help me to lay him down properly on his back. And we laid him properly on his back. And I asked Njai to go out and Ablai Bojang to go out. And I stayed with him until he breathed his last. Exactly 1600 hours 17 on the 6th of June.
You did not forget?
No.
Even a second in that time?
No. Because immediately he passed out, he closed his eyes. I closed his eyes. I asked Guy to tell me the time. And he told me exactly it was 1600 hours 17.
You did not want to forget that time?
No, I can't forget the time. I can't. Sadibu is part of me. And he will ever remain be part of me.
Yes, I mean, if your wife wants to come and assist, she can. Feel free.
It's okay. I can carry on. It's okay.
Thank you.
I can carry on. Now I come back to my own frustration.
Yes.
When Sadibu passed out in these tortures, I'm not talking about his death now, but at
the time of the torture.
Exactly.
Yes.
They were confused, but they never stopped. And then they put him aside. And then I was brought in, forced on the ground. They put the same iron bar under my testicles. And Malafi came with his hammer again. And he started beating the muscles that joins the testicles and the other sexual organs within the body. I think at one point I also got blackout, pass out. And since the day until I discharged, we got no medical attention. When I left the prisons, my fear came true that I had sexual dysfunction from these tortures. Of course, I underwent through medical treatment for all these years, and thank God, it has completely not healed, but better.
They attempted to castrate you.
Exactly.
Mr. Sabally, how do you feel that you've gone through all these types of torture in the hands of your former colleagues and your brothers in force, your brothers in arms? How do you feel?
I felt betrayed in as much as I had done nothing. The accusation in quotation, yeah, I felt betrayed completely.
We have had testimony that this was poetic justice. You had tortured people.
Okay.
It was your turn to be tortured.
Exactly.
That is the way it goes.
Exactly. What goes around comes around.
Or what? Exactly. What do you say to that?
Correct.
Do you regret the tortures that you meted out on other people?
I do, wholeheartedly. I wish I knew at the time what I know today, and what I learned in the prisons, I wish I had known it before. Meaning, in the prisons, as I always say, it's the last university for me in the world. I had learned wisdom, humility, patience, and understanding. And that's why I came out of prison not bitter, but better. And I had forgiven all of them.
That is deeply profound. You came out not bitter, but better.
Exactly.
Deeply profound. What do you harbor in your heart for those people who meted out this gruesome torture on you?
I had nothing against them. For Malafikor, we saw in the prison before I discharged. At one point he came, I think he fell out with Jame and he was sent out of the state house back to Fajara barracks. And once he came with Lieutenant Combo. And when Combo came, normally he must come with an escort. Out of curiosity, I asked, where are your escorts? He said, it's your class, meaning Malafikor. I said, where is he? He said, he's at cell number 4. And then I said, why not you call him to come in? And then he went and forced him to come. And when he came, I said, but why didn't you come to our cell number 1 when you are the escort to Lieutenant Combo? He stood down. I said, we know each other from the training. What you have meted on me, I knew you would have done it alone. You were sent. But you have done your bit. I have forgiven you. And since then, yeah, why not we became good friends? The time he came, we talked. And it was along this line that he revealed most of these things, that whenever they were torturing me, beside the tape recorder, they had filmed it on video. And they had shown it to Jame to watch. But as I said, this part I cannot confirm.
What happened to my man Lafikor ultimately?
I don't know where he is exactly.
He's dead.
Oh. May God
never had?
May God have mercy on his soul. I never had his dead. Oh, yeah.
What do you feel about Alaji Martin?
If I see him also, I would forgive him. I have nothing against them. Absolutely nothing. Even Jame, as I said, when I left the prison, the day I left the prison, right at the main gate, I had said it clearly. I have forgiven him.
But your ordeal did not stop after your conviction.
Yeah, klar. It will not stop. I knew it will not stop. But I don't have to live in that situation. I have to find a better future.
Well, tell us about the attempts to have you poisoned.
Okay. This was the last 6 months before I discharged from prison. Actually, the timing ranges for 2 years, 3 months. It all came about, I was sentenced for 9 years, and normally as a citizen of the country and a convict, I was supposed to be given a parole after having served 6 years, 9 months, meaning 3/4 of the sentence. And this was supposed to be September 2001. October or September, I can't recall exactly, but if we calculate 6 years, 9 months, it will take us around August or September or October 2001. I was not relieved. I went to David Colley. I told him. That day, David Colley, he wept. He showed me that it was not him, and I confirmed. He showed me the letter he wrote to the Minister of Interior, asking for my release. But the Minister of Interior, of course, they also couldn't do anything. They wrote back that I was not going to be released. And I told David Colley on the face, I said, me and you, this remaining 2 years, 3 months, I will serve it to the end. Meaning I have to serve the whole 9 years completely to the end. But I made it clear to him, I will not die in the prisons. I will go alive. This I knew. And I told him also to give me a new uniform, the prison uniform. I insisted until he gave me 2 pairs.
In which part of the prison did you serve your term?
In security number 1, cell number 4.
Not even general convicts?
No, I was throughout in that one-man cell for 9 good years.
Most of the time wearing what?
In my birthday suit, completely naked. And for most of the time they had poured water in the cell, and I would be on that concrete floor with water.
Tell us about the attempt to poison you.
Okay. It went up to the last 6 months before my discharge. The first attempt, I believe, was to put me in another charge to extend my prison term. And this was done by one Yaya Jaju. At the time, he was a superintendent. Because he used to tell me, they name Yaya Jammeh after me, because his name also was Yaya. He come from, I believe, Faraba Bantang. But for me, that was not important. And as I say, I would say, in the prison, the diet, the food, we have 2 types of food in the prisons. One is the general diet, meaning GD, and the other one is the high protein we call HP. This general diet was for everybody in the prison. If anyone was to be given this HP, the high protein, you must have gone to the hospital and a doctor would have prescribed this particular food for you. And throughout my stay in the prisons, for the past 8 years, 6 months, I never thought to have that opportunity. And I was never sick where I went to a doctor and the doctor prescribed such a particular food for me. And knowing my relationship with this particular Yaya, this superintendent, I never expected such a gesture also from him. From nowhere, out of the blue, one day he came smiling with a small piece of paper. He came, I was in the cells, and he knocked, they opened the door, and he said, today you are promoted. Because that's the term we use in the prisons, meaning you have graduated from the general diet to the high protein. What it means, the difference is only that the general diet, this is the general cooking for everybody in the prisons. So this HP, why they call it HP is only that it contains more vegetables. And maybe if you have to have a fish, it will be a whole fish. If it has to be meat, probably also maybe 3, 4, 5 pieces of meat. That's the only difference. Fine. When he came with this piece of paper, small paper, he said, Sabally, today you are promoted. For me, what was it? I was still in the prison. And then he said, from today, you will get the high protein diet. And you will get 2 basins, meaning my lunch, my dinner would be the same. I only said to him, thank you. But for me right now, my brain has started working. One, as I said, I was never before a doctor, for that particular doctor to prescribe such a food for me. And I knew this particular Yaya would never, on his own accord, give me that chance to have that particular food in the prison. Never. So I knew something was amiss. I prepared myself psychologically, but what it was, I could not tell, and I cannot tell. We were there. They started bringing the food. It came normal, every day 2 basins, apart from the breakfast. I will eat. The other basin I will give to Suleiman Sarr. This Suleiman Sarr was the one who was involved in the Farafenni attack. And it went on, until one day, my suspicions became true. In the prison at the time, we have the chief cook, who was Jerry Colley. We have the assistant chief cook, who was also Colley. I forgot his name.
Where are these colleagues from?
They are from Casamas.
They're not Gambian?
No, they were serving jail terms also. Okay. The second, the chief cook was Jerry Colley. The second one was Salif Colley. Jerry and Salif. Okay. My wife's surname is Colley, so I built a good rapport with the two of them, even before this incident. Meaning to change my diet from general diet to high protein. And Salif Colley, the deputy chief cook, was responsible for cooking and dishing out this HP, this high protein. And as I said, he used to bring this food to me. And when he didn't come, it was Harbabu, he was serving life sentence, he used to come. And in the prisons, we have a helper at the infirmary, at the clinic, Ablaiba. He was serving a life sentence. There are 2 Ablaibas, they were all serving life sentence, but here I mean the younger one. One day, Salif Colley came, brought my food. I was playing Scrabble with Elef Jame, and normally when they come with my food, I would motion them if they found us doing something like playing draft or playing Scrabble, or doing nothing but we are sitting outside during break periods, they will take the 2 basins and put it inside my cell on the table. Actually, this table was just a cement slab. Now, on this particular day, Salif came with these 2 basins and then went inside my cell and stood instead of putting the basins down and come out as usual. So he called Alolom in Jola, meaning my in-law. My Jola has come back now. Now he called me Alolom. I say, yeah. Joe, come in Jola. I was playing Scrabble. I didn't go. I told him, put it down on the table where you used to put it. So he was still standing there. Then he called again, Alolom, Joe. So Elef said, Wulieta, maybe I keep money fendekam in Mandinka. Reluctantly, I woke up, I got up, I went. But then the officer who escorted them followed behind me immediately. And as soon as I entered my cell, he told me in Jola, Tamburi Snyangas, meaning, do not eat this food today. I don't know what was the reason. So I said, okay, and he left with the officer who was escorting them. So the 2 basins were standing there. Since the others have their food, I ate from their basins. In the evening, the morning shift had gone home. In the evening, they brought our dinner. Mine was already in the cell. As I said, I had 2 basins every day. My lunch and dinner comes together. When they brought the other basins for the other detainees there, or the other convicts, Harbabu came, and Ablai Sow, this younger Ablai Sow, who was a helper at the infirmary. Normally in the evening, he brings medication for prisoners who were in the security wing to take their evening doses. And when he came, Salif had told him, go and tell my in-law that in the food, there was something Yaya had put inside your food. How it happened, later he explained to me, he himself, that whenever they wanted to put something inside, Yaya would tell him, if you finish cooking before you take the basin to Sanna, bring them to my office.
Which Yaya?
This is Yaya Jaju, the superintendent in the prison service.
Proceed.
And he would take these 2 basins to Yaya at his office. And if you would know where this building is in the prisons, it has just behind you is glass doors. Anybody who stands outside can see somebody right inside. And then Salif said he stood and watching. But he don't know what Yaya put inside the food into these 2 basins, but he knew he put something inside these 2 basins. And then he would call him inside, and Salif will enter the office and take these 2 basins and bring them to me. And he had told Salif who never mentioned it because he had asked him, did you see anything? No. Okay. And it continued like that. So each time Salif took this basin to the superintendent Yaya Jaju, Salif will make sure that he sent me a message. But also he would make sure that he sent another basin under Suleiman Sar's name, which is also a high protein but not a full basin. Meaning he could give it to Suleiman Sar as a gift, but this was meant for me. And when these 2 basins were all brought to me, in the prisons is a law. When the prisoner refused to eat his food or her food, they would record and take it to the headquarters. So all along I also played along the line. When the 2 basins were brought and I was informed that Yaya had put something inside, I would take these 2 basins, dip my hand in both these 2 basins for the lunch one, and the dinner one also I would do the same thing, as if somebody had eaten from these 2 basins, and put it in my kemba pot, meaning where I make my pee-pee. Now, in the morning, when they come, they will look at the 2 basins and see that it's like, oh, he has eaten. But I never ate from those 2 basins.
What do you say was the effect of the conduct of Koli?
David Koli or which Koli, sorry?
The cook.
He informed me.
He saved your life, didn't he?
Exactly. And I would come to that, what also I did when I left prison.
What other attempt was made on your life while you were in prison?
These were the moments when they would torture me, and then they would send the information outside that Sanna had hit his head on the wall. Actually, they would do that, but the information would go around as a rumor that Sanna has hit his head on the wall and he has broken his head.
How about the injections?
This would come on the 29th of August 2003.
Tell us about it.
This was from James, Couple James, but the one who administered this injection was Famara Sane. He was, before coming to the prison department, he was at the army.
He was at which army?
The Gambia National Army.
What's his full name?
Famara Sane.
And what did he do to you?
This time I had malaria. And for 2 weeks I was laid low by malaria. I was never taken to the hospital or attended to. And one fine afternoon or in the evening, first came James, this James Jaju. They were both working in the infirmary in the central prison. James came, he asked, I said, yes, I had malaria. I was still lying down on the bed. And then he went back. The next, the 2 of them came, and Famara came with a syringe and needle. Before I could realize anything, chuck on my left thigh. And up till today, this pain is there, and I have my legs, the right is longer than the left one.
From that injection?
From that injection.
Do you know what they injected in you?
No, I don't know. I can tell. For me, my fear factor was 1. And whether, fine, it might have been fancy in my brain. Maybe they injected me with AIDS, nobody knows. Hepatitis, nobody knows. Things like that were reeling in my mind. Or a deadly poison that could eat in me eventually. When I had to leave the prisons, maybe a month or 2, I could die. And it would have been seen as a natural death.
Were you able to walk after this injection?
Nay, for 2 good months, I was not able to walk.
Do you know what information went out of the prison concerning your leg?
That I was paralyzed.
How do you know that?
My family members told me. In fact, one of my auntie who was here right now, but she's gone home, could have attested to that. And David Colley also could attest to that. Farmer Colley also could attest to that. He was an SPO at the time. And Balajo, I forgot his name, but he was also an SPO. I go into this one quickly. This particular day, it was around between 4 and 5. The morning duties had ended their tour of duty, and the afternoon duties were there. And then Ablai Bojang came quickly and said, dress in, dress up, you have a visitor. I said, okay. You can't take me like that without telling me who I'm going to visit. Because at this time I had no visitor.
Why did you have to dress up?
I had to go to the headquarters.
Yes, but why did you have to dress up? You didn't have any clothes on?
No.
You were always naked?
Yeah, in this particular point I was naked. Then he threw the uniform on me. Of course, between Abla and me, this is Jola and Fula. And then I dressed up. He took me to the headquarters. And when I arrived at the headquarters, my auntie was standing, but her back towards me. And she was there quarreling or trying to find out with with Farmer Colley. Because Balajo and Farmer Colley, they look alike. They are all short and the same prison uniform. So for her, as she later told me, was that she told Balajo, or David Colley told Balajo, go and bring Sanna. And Balajo came in. So all of a sudden, she was facing the headquarters and Farmer Colley came from the other end. So for her, it was like Balajo went this other side of the confinement and come out from the other door, was trying to avoid her. And then she told him, and it was like, then I arrived with Balajo and Ablai Bojang. Then when I arrived from her back, I hooked her from the rear. And then she turned. Then she said, Yarabe Balurin in Fula, deket awuri. I told him in Fula, Hoko. Then she told me, I'm just having lunch, and a lady friend of mine come and said they have just buried you at Josuang Cemetery. And I said, but who told you? They said, it's my friend. I said, your friend told you that? Yes. And I told her, if I have to die here, you will know about it. Here I will leave this prison alive. And then she left for home.